What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Another episode of Seahawks Now. We're a couple of days removed now from the NFL draft, so it's time to talk about Jalen Milroe. How will Jalen Milroe fit into the Seahawks offense in 2025? Some interesting stuff going on with the Jalen Milroe discussion. Apparently, Milroe said in his post-draft press conference, he said that the Seahawks told him he was their number one quarterback on their board going into the draft. And when John Schneider was asked about that, it kind of led to an awkward moment because John Schneider denied saying that. He literally said, "I don't remember saying that." So what gives? Why does John Schneider say one thing, Jalen Milroe says another thing? I feel like if you're John Schneider at that point, you kind of have to go with it. You kind of have to just be like, yeah, we did. Even if you didn't, even if it's not true, because now you're throwing your young quarterback under the bus and making it seem like you actually don't support him, even though, you have to make that. I mean, look, I'm sure the Seahawks ultimately had Cam Ward as their top quarterback on the board. I don't know how they felt about the rest of them. Maybe they had Jackson Dart ranked ahead of Milroe. Clearly, they didn't have Shedeur ranked ahead of Milroe, who they did meet with. But it just feels to me like you can't immediately go behind your quarterback and be like, yeah, no, he's not accurate in saying that, unless you really just don't plan on him ever really being the face of your franchise. So I'm interested to see what's going to go on here. I mean, look, Jalen Milroe definitely adds a new element to the Seahawks offense because he can run. Last year, he was one of the most prolific, dynamic running quarterbacks in all of college football. If you look at what he was able to do, I'm going to pull up the Jalen Milroe stats really quick because it was really, really good, honestly. Last year, he rushed for 20 rushing touchdowns. Now Mike McDonald says Jalen Milroe is a quarterback, not a Taysom Hill. He's a quarterback through and through. He's going to be trained to play quarterback. However, we'll see, because the Saints, obviously, with Taysom Hill, who's another great running quarterback, they did use him as kind of a gadget guy. The idea with Milroe is, yeah, he is a bit of a lottery ticket. It's a bit of a gamble. Worst case scenario, though, I do think that they can use him as a Taysom Hill type of guy. But there are definitely two sides to this coin. This is what Rob Statton, BBC Sports contributor, has to say. He says, if you were going to play a game tomorrow for Alabama and Jalen Milroe was the quarterback, you're not going to bet your house on him converting a 3rd and 10. His intermediate and short-range passing, the accuracy can be quite poor. That's a problem for him. But the great thing about this pick is you can work on those things behind the scenes. The other side of the coin is the great arm. Go watch the Wisconsin game, the Georgia game last season. You can see him make big plays downfield. He's got an accurate downfield throw, cannon of an arm, and then the running ability. He's like a Formula One racing car. When he gets to the edge, the ability to turn upfield and dodge defenders is unbelievable. Some people believe that he is as good of a runner as Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. Now, I don't know if that is true or not. That's a massive, massive bar. Lamar Jackson is probably the best running quarterback of all time. To say Milroe is as good as him, that would be really special. But, yeah, there are definitely problems with the accuracy, with the efficiency, with the clutch. Somebody says, according to Mike Rodak of Crimson Tide for 247 Sports, he says he never really got to that point where he felt totally comfortable as a passer. Doing it at the NFL level is going to be a whole new ballgame for him. There were signs that he was getting it, and then you saw just a little bit of regression at the end of last season. And then going into this season with the Tennessee game, for instance, just not seeing things, getting sped up, not being comfortable in the pocket, just not making the right reads. However, he does praise Milroe for his athleticism and noted there were moments of upside, both at times against LSU, against Georgia, the SEC championship game, Texas A&M. But he says it will take work to evolve as a passer. However, he does say he was always the first in the building, watching film, working out, studying, whatever it was. He's certainly going to put the effort into it. But with playing quarterback, there are some things that can be learned and taught. There are other things you just have naturally. He says they'll work on the floors, but he has a limitless ceiling. So that is big time to hear that he has a limitless ceiling. That's a thing that you want to look at when you're thinking, is this guy going to be a starter, potentially, or a backup? Well, you always have to ask, what's his ceiling? Milroe, it seems, has a really high ceiling. Maybe even, when you think rocket arm and really great at running the football, my mind straight away goes to Josh Allen. I'm like, that's Josh Allen, right? He ran the ball really well, and he has a rocket cannon of an arm. And he did struggle early in the league. It took him a while to get adjusted. He was not very accurate. He was not very clutch, but he had the traits, he had the athleticism, and he figured it out. But the difference is Josh Allen was supposed to be good, right? He was a first-round pick for a reason. Jalen Milroe, he was a third-round pick. And again, as we've talked about, third-round quarterbacks don't tend to be all that good. There was obviously Russell Wilson. When we've seen a few others, Matt Schaub was a third-round quarterback who ended up having a pretty good career. Nick Foles was a Super Bowl MVP after being a third-round pick. You look at Jacoby Brissett was a decent quarterback coming out of the third round. But really, there's not that many. There's not that many guys over the past 25 years who have come out of the third round and been amazing at quarterback. Russell Wilson clearly is the best of them all, which is cool that it comes from the Seahawks. But the question is, can Jalen Milroe be the second best? All right, I want to talk about a guy that I think might be the best steal of the draft. This is Torrey Horton coming out of Colorado State, Torrey Horton is one of the biggest steals of this draft, rated at prospect grade 6.19, good backup with the potential to develop into a starter. He was picked at the very end of the third round, the 30th pick of the third round by the Seahawks. Last year, his production score ranked 19th, his athleticism score was 18th, and his total score was 15th. Now, unlike quarterbacks, there have been a lot of decent receivers that come out of the fifth round. Obviously, you think about Stephon Diggs coming out of the fifth round. This guy could be really special. Started with Nevada, played 9 games in 2020, 12 in 2021. In 2022, he was a first-team All-Mountain West. In 2023, he was again first-team All-Mountain West. And then in 2024, he only played in 6 games, but he ended up with 4 touchdowns. Just wasn't as great of a season for him. He missed the second half of the season with a knee injury. But last year in 2023, first-team All-Mountain West, second-team All-Conference, ranked 5th in the FBS with 96 receptions. He led the team with 1,136 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns, starting all 12 games, was a team captain. He was projected by Lance Zierlein to be a 4th-round pick, ended up going late in the 5th round, so I think the Seahawks got really good value there. He was a productive 5th-year senior, 2-time captain. Season was cut short with a knee surgery. Loose athlete with quality speed, above-average cut quickness, instinctive route runner. He can knife through the heart of zone defenses and is competitive at the catch point. If healthy, he has wide receiver 3 upside, and according to the draft rating, he has the potential to even potentially be more of a wide receiver 2, more of a starting receiver. That's what they think. The fact that he was projected to be a 4th-round pick is great, but also my question is, imagine if he hadn't have been hurt. Where do you think he would have gone? Probably 3rd round, maybe even the 2nd round. So I love this pick so much for the Seahawks. I think it's a really good value selection, and I think this could be one of the biggest steals of the whole draft. I think a lot of people were sleeping on this guy because of the injury, because he was a 5th-year senior. They didn't see him play the second half of the year because he was in the Mountain West as well. I think Torrey Horton is going to be a really, really good player. All right, last but not least, I want to talk really quickly about new running back Damian Martinez. How will he fit into the Seahawks running back room? Obviously, it's a full room right now. Looking at his prospect analysis, Damian Martinez, he was a guy who was projected to probably be a 6th or 7th round pick. A lot of people thought that, he was just a fine, kind of a backup running back. His draft grade was a 6.0, which means he has the traits or talents to be an above-average backup. He was ranked as the 11th best running back in a pretty weak running back class as far as depth goes, so a very top-heavy running back class, but as far as depth, pretty weak. 4.5-yard, 40-yard dash. 1.56 10-yard split, so maybe not even the fastest guy. Played for Oregon State, then went to Miami. But this is a guy who I think he probably just fits in as a backup, right? I don't think this guy's probably ever going to be a starter. I think he probably slots in next year as your number 3 running back. Obviously, you have Zach Charbonnet as your number 2. Kenneth Walker as your number 1. A lot of people were hoping the Seahawks would take a running back higher up in this year's draft to kind of gear up for the possibility of Kenneth Walker leaving because this is his last year with the team, but he hasn't signed an extension yet. But ultimately, I don't think Damian Martinez is that guy. He's not the guy that's going to eventually replace K9 long-term, and he probably even isn't the guy who's going to be their number 2 long-term. I think Damian Martinez really fits in more as a 3rd down back, as an injury replacement back, as a guy who can play special teams, maybe do some kick returning. I think he can be good in that sense, but I don't really see him as a high-volume back, and I probably don't think he ever will. So if you're hoping for a replacement a long-term starter at running back, I don't think Damon Martinez is your guy. With that being said, guys, I want to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and comment down below who was your favorite pick in this year's draft. I want to hear it. A lot of people saying Milroe, a lot of people saying Gray Zabel, and a lot of people are really in on our new safety, Emin Wari. So comment down below who's your favorite pick of the draft. Tomorrow, we're going to be getting into draft grades. We're going to be looking at what different people graded this Seahawks draft and why I agree or disagree. With that all being said, we'll see you tomorrow, and as always, until next time, go Seahawks.